51. It's a completely shocking number when you stop and think about it. 51 full workdays. That's what the average enterprise team loses every single year. Not to long meetings, not to scrolling on their phones, but simply due to software tool friction. Literally just wrestling with the very digital tools that were originally bought to make their jobs easier. So, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack this massive enterprise friction crisis and look ahead to what's coming at the 2027 AI horizon. We're going to completely demystify digital adoption platforms. You've probably heard them called dApps. We'll actually look at the hard science proving they work, and we'll explore their absolutely critical role as we hurtle toward a major AI collision that's really just a couple of years away. Okay, let's dive right into our macro roadmap. We'll kick things off with the enterprise friction crisis, introduce the dApp solution, and then look at the academic evidence. After that, we'll cover how to measure true ROI, touch on the new AI orchestration era, and finally, zoom all the way back out to the 2027 horizon. Starting with Section 1, the enterprise friction crisis, and the hidden cost of AI chaos. Because right now, on a macro level, enterprise teams are just absolutely drowning in disconnected tools.
Think about it. Organizations have poured billions, literally billions, into AI integrations. Things like ChatGPT, Copilot, Salesforce, Einstein. But here's the catch. These systems just don't talk to each other. The result? Well, Gartner survey data shows worker productivity actually fell by 9 to 12% over the last 2 years. And yeah, there's that number again, 51 full workdays lost annually to tool friction. It is this massive hidden cost of AI chaos. We're buying all these tools to work faster, but the friction between them is actually grinding us to a halt.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 2. Enter the dApp, the conductor for your AI orchestra. We desperately need a technological solution to clear out this massive enterprise friction. And honestly, this is it. Now, what's really interesting here is how we define a digital adoption platform, or a dApp. At its core, it's a software layer that integrates right into your existing applications. Historically, it just guided users with step-by-step tutorials or those little contextual tooltips. But today, it has evolved into true cross-application AI orchestration. It's no longer just pointing at buttons on a screen. It's acting as the central conductor for literally all of your digital work. Just to show you exactly what a dApp looks like in action, it essentially sits as an overlay on top of highly complex interfaces, like Dassault's 3D Experience PLM system, for example. You'll see a compass menu highlighted there in red, with a contextual guidance step right next to it in green. It anchors directly to the interface, seamlessly guiding the user through an environment that, frankly, would normally take weeks of training just to figure out. But the big question is, does it actually work? Let's jump to Section 3, the academic evidence, putting dApps to the test. We're going to zoom all the way down to the micro level and look at a really rigorous 2026 academic study from the Journal of Internet Services and Information Security. To build some solid credibility here, researchers actually used a multi-monitor lab setup for a highly controlled scientific experiment. They brought in 20 participants, some using a dApp, some without, and tested them on complex product lifecycle management software. They gave them specific project management tasks to do and recorded literally every single click, hesitation, and success. And the statistical data? It's pretty definitive. When you compare the PLM software without a dApp to the exact same software with a dApp, the results are staggering. The System Usability Scale, or SUS, was significantly higher for the dApp users. We're talking a p-value of 3.4 times 10 to the negative 7th. Task completion rates were also statistically much higher. Way fewer errors, much faster execution. So the science absolutely proves it. dApps tangibly, measurably improve usability. However, there's a super fascinating psychological trade-off happening here. One of the test participants actually said, if it wasn't pointing out exactly what I needed to do, I think I would have made mistakes and not even realized. And this brilliantly illustrates the concept of the illusion of competence. When we use dApps, we naturally experience automation bias. Users effectively trade their own critical thinking autonomy for task accuracy. They just follow the bubbles. But that means if the guidance is even slightly off, they're going to blindly make a mistake. Keep that in the back of your mind because it's going to be absolutely crucial in a minute. All right, let's shift gears from the academic lab over to the boardroom for Section 4, measuring true ROI with CFO-ready metrics. If we're going to implement these platforms, we have to entirely change the way we measure their financial success. Because look, if you're out there measuring tooltip impressions or tour completions, you're basically measuring a leaky bucket. Industry-wide data reveals that an astounding 95% of users just completely abandon multi-step product tours.
Only a tiny 5% fraction actually finishes a standard 7-step tour. That is a massive drop-off rate, proving that standard traditional guidance just fails to hold anyone's attention. So the crucial point here is that we have to completely abandon those vanity metrics, tour completion percentages and tooltip impressions. Instead, if we want to speak the language of a CFO, we have to focus entirely on board-ready metrics. We need to be tracking activation rate, customer acquisition cost payback, and time to first value, because those are the metrics that actually predict real revenue retention. Let me give you an example. In a tandem case study over at the financial company Quanto, they deployed an AI-native DApp that actively executes actions rather than just pointing at things on the screen. As a result, their time to first value was slashed from 8 days down to under 3 days, and that was for hundreds of thousands of users. When you compress the time it takes for a user to actually get value, you directly compress that CAC payback period, and that is real, undeniable ROI. In this major shift from just pointing to actually doing brings us to Section 5, the AI orchestration era, moving from guidance to execution. The whole software landscape is fundamentally shifting right now. We are way past the days of traditional static bubbles. Modern AI native dApps operate on 3 exact steps. Step 1, parse the live screen state. Step 2, resolve the user intent, like figuring out what they're actually trying to achieve. And Step 3, execute those approved actions automatically. This entirely closes the gap between watching a guided demo and actual self-serve use. It means users get their jobs done without ever needing to open a single human support ticket.
Let's move on and see how all of this builds up to our final section, 6, the 2027 Horizon, a logical progression to crisis. We're zooming all the way out now to the macroeconomic and policy-level warnings issued by the Center for AI Policy.
This timeline maps out a terrifyingly rapid progression of AI capabilities. It projects that by mid-2025, AI agents will easily perform basic functions. By 2026, AI R&D agents will actually match top human experts. And then, by late 2027, data centers could hold tens of thousands of super intelligent AI researchers operating at speeds way beyond human capacity. In fact, also by late 2027, there's a real potential for autonomous AI to sort of escape data centers and operate completely independently. According to the source material, these AI agents are outpacing human oversight and safety controls in just a matter of months. It's a wildly fast timeline.
Which ultimately brings us to one absolutely critical question. As AI takes the wheel, are we losing our ability to steer? Think back to that academic study for a second, and that illusion of competence we talked about. When the DAP pointed the way, users basically stopped thinking critically, right? Well, as we deploy AI agents that don't just point, but actively execute complex tasks for us across all our software, we're facing a global crisis of automation bias. The true cost of this enterprise efficiency might literally be giving up our digital autonomy altogether. So what happens when the whole system starts moving too fast for us to even check its work? It's a massive, fundamental shift in how we work and learn. And honestly, it's something we all need to be thinking very deeply about. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope it sparked some curiosity for you today.